you, you have a square, and we've talked about squares in the past, and I was wondering if you could tell me everything that you remember or that you notice about the square that you have.
It has 4 sides.
It does have 4 sides.
All the sides are the same though.
What do you mean by the same?
The same length.
It's true. In a square, all 4 sides are the same length. Do you notice anything else about squares?
That they have 4 right angles.
4 right angles. And Suda, could you be a little more specific about what you mean about right angles? Just curious what you mean by that.
The corners form a 90-degree angle.
Like a 90-degree angle? So it's like a
call
square angle, a right angle, a 90-degree angle. Those are all sort of the same when we're talking about that?
I call them a square corner because I can put a square piece of paper in the corner.
Oh, so you can I borrow your paper?
Sure.
So you can use a piece of paper that has another square angle and put it on top and test to see if the angle matches, and then
Yes.
you'll know that it's a square angle?
Yes.
Very cool. All right, here's what I want you to do. Can you take your square and can you fold it in half on the diagonal? So fold it in half like this. And after you fold it in half, give it a really good crease. Use your fingernail. Maybe fold it the other way so you have a nice crease. And then I want you to lick it and tear it in half. What do you have now? What did you make?
2 big triangles.
You did make 2 big triangles. What do you notice about these triangles?
Well, I noticed that this one still forms the right angle.
Oh, you notice that one of your triangles has a right angle? Do they both
Actually,
have right?
both of them do.
If you turn it, you can see it.
So both of the triangles that you made have right angles. It's true. Do you know what we call these kind of triangles?
They're called right triangles.
They are called right triangles. Good memory. They have right angles. They're called right triangles. Here's what I want you to do. Can you use the 2 right triangles that you just made, and can you put them together in a different way to make a new shape that maybe you remember the name of a new shape? What have you noticed?
I put them like this. I can make a parallelogram.
So you're saying that you can put 2 right triangles together and make a parallelogram?
Yes.
Okay, what else can you make?
I made 1 big triangle out of my 2 small triangles.
So you put your 2 right triangles together like this and made
Yes.
another right triangle?
Yes.
Did you make a right triangle? So we also know that 2 right triangles can go together to make 1 larger right triangle. It's true. What else can you do? Is there anything, other shapes that you can make? What did we start with?
I was going to say we started with a square. I can make my square again.
So if you can make your square again, that means that we also know that 2 right triangles can be put together to make a square.
Yes.
Awesome. Nice conjectures. Okay, can you put one of your large right triangles aside, and we're just going to work with one right now. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Can you take your big right triangle, and can you fold it in half, give it a good crease, the same way we did with the square, lick and tear. What did you end up with?
We have 2 right triangles again.
2 new right triangles. Interesting. You took your right triangle, cut it in half, and you ended up with 2 right triangles again. Interesting. Can you put those aside? Just put those aside. We're going to save those. We're going to use them, put them aside, and go back to your other big right triangle. And we're going to do something a little bit different with this one. The 2 smaller angles, can you make them touch each other, but don't fold. Just hold them where they're matched. So just hold them where they're matched and give it a little pinch. So a little tiny crease. Just give it a little pinch on the halfway mark. And then open it back up again so then you'll know where halfway is on the bottom of your triangle. And then take where the right angle is and make it match the bottom. Make it match where so what did you end up with?
We have a trapezoid.
You made a trapezoid and
a triangle, a right triangle.
another right triangle. So you made a trapezoid and a right triangle out of a big right triangle. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about what we've done so far, the steps that we have taken to get to this point, and I want you to put your big square back together. So I use So you should have 4 pieces. We had our 2 small right triangles, our trapezoid, and our smallest right triangle. See if you can put your square back together. So I see that you have 1 right triangle going here, Suda.
Yes.
What were you missing? Remember, what were you missing when you had that big square there?
That piece there.
What were you missing right here to make your big square?
Oh, the parallelogram.
The parallelogram?
We only have 2 triangles, so we need to make these 2 triangles on the other side of the square.
That doesn't work.
So let's see, if we move these away, let's move them away, and you want to go back to your square, visually, trace your finger where the rest of the square would go. Can you trace your finger?
Like that and like that.
What shape is that you're making?
Oh, like 1 triangle, like a large triangle.
A large triangle.
Or 2 small triangles.
Yeah, so how are you going to use what you know about making that big triangle? How are you going to use what you know about 2 little triangles to make 1 bigger triangle that you just traced your finger around?
I would have to do something like this.
Oh.
Then I think I need to flip it.
That works.
Awesome. Nice. Okay. So here, can you now pick up your trapezoid? We're going to deal with our trapezoid. And I want you to fold your trapezoid in half. And give it a good crease. Use your fingernail, lick and tear.
We have 2 shapes that are the same.
Oh, you have 2 shapes that are the same. Do you remember a word that we've used before to describe 2 shapes that are the same? Do you remember what that word is?
I think it starts with a C, didn't it?
Yeah, it did start with a C. Not similar.
They aren't.
They're congruent.
They are
That
congruent.
was the
It's
word.
true. They are congruent. And how can we test if 2 shapes are congruent?
If you can put one on top of the other.
Oh, can
they
you do
line
that?
up.
Do they line up if you put them on top of each other?
Yes.
Yeah,
They
they
do.
do. They match exactly, huh? Okay. So, what else do we know about these shapes? Anything?
They have 4 sides.
They have 4 sides. What do we call a shape that has 4 sides?
Quadrilateral.
It's a quadrilateral. So we've made 2 new quadrilaterals. But just for the sake of conversation, we're not going to call these by their proper name right now. Just for my description, we're going to call them elf shoes, okay? And so what I want you to do is I want you to take the toe of the elf shoe, even though we know they're quadrilaterals, and I want you to touch it to the heel of the elf shoe, and then fold, and give it a good crease, and lick and tear.
We have a new shape. We didn't have this.
What'd you come up with?
Oh, there's a square.
You made a square. What else did you make out of that quadrilateral?
A right triangle.
And another smaller right triangle, it's true. Did you find the same thing?
Yes.
Yes. And you're going to pick up your elf shoe, your other elf shoe, your other quadrilateral, and we're going to talk about the tie and the heel. And so I want you to fold it so that the tie and the heel of the elf shoe touch. And what will you end up with? What are you going to get?
We have another right triangle.
And this looks like a rhombus.
Well, it's similar to a rhombus. It doesn't
Or
have
parallelogram.
Oh.
So it has 2 sets of parallel sides.
It does have 2 sets of parallel sides. Why is it not a rhombus, though?
Because all the sides are not the same. The points would be across from each other.
That's right. So in a rhombus, we know that all 4 sides are the same length, but it's similar to a rhombus, huh? It has 2 sets of parallel sides. Okay. So now you've got another small right triangle, and now you've got a parallelogram, and you should have some other right triangles. And what I want you to do is to use everything that you've learned so far and see if you can work backwards and put your big square back together. Thinking about what we've talked about along the way might help.
Oh, like 2 right triangles can make a
Need a big
big triangle.
Oh yeah, it's true. About 2 right triangles, because you have 1 right triangle and 2 right
and
triangles.
2 right triangles form a square.
Okay, so what are you going to do?